I'm back out here working on the squeeze chute swap today, and I've got some lofty goals that I'll tell you about in a minute. If you caught the last video on this project, then you know I was kind of wrestling around with what I wanted to do with the slab. Did I want to try to fix the one that's here, add on to the one that's here, or just completely jackhammer this thing out of here and start fresh? Well, I decided on that third option. I've got a jackhammer in the truck here, and the goal today is to get the old slab out of here, and then I've got some lumber here. I'm hoping that I can maybe get the form built as well. That's what's going on today on Farmer Tyler Ranch. I feel like that's the one I want right there. I don't think this slab's gonna fight me too bad. Time will tell, but I know when I pour this, I put a bunch of stuff in it. T-posts, who knows what all we're gonna find in this thing. And the one thing that I am not sure of yet, and I guess I'll just think about it while I'm hammering out the rest of it, is if I want to keep the exit ramp or just get rid of it as well and start over completely. We'll kind of see how the slab breaks away from it. If it doesn't break away very clean, then I'll probably just hammer the whole thing out, but I don't know. Something I'll be thinking about while I'm working. Be curious to see if my EcoFlow has enough juice to run this thing. Man, well, that took a little bit longer than I thought it would, but it's all right because we're mostly done now. I think what I need to do is clean up as much of this as I can and get it out of here, and then it won't surprise me if there's still some big chunks kind of down on ground level that I need to hit again with the jackhammer. So let's get as much of this cleaned up as I can, and we'll just kind of reassess at that point. So really, the only logical thing to do here is to put the bucket on the front of the 8N and haul that stuff out of there. But before I do that, since I have the spear on the tractor, I'll go ahead and give another bale to the steers, put another bale here in the cows' feeder, and then nobody will need hay for probably weeks. So yeah, that I'm not having to change front end attachments all the time. Cows really don't need a bale. In fact, they've got a bunch of leftover hay already, and they still got a fair amount of grass out there. But I've got a bunch of hay in the barn still, which is I'm really fortunate to have that, and I got to do something with it, because the bad thing about this grain hay that I raise is it's very difficult to carry it over to the next year, because usually what ends up happening is the rodents get in it and they kind of tear it up. Although I will say, with all the cats we have living in this barn, I have not noticed a lot of rodent damage. So if it ends up that I've got a bunch of this hay left over and I just can't feed it all for whatever reason, then what I will probably do is either try to sell the remaining bales here, or just take them all out of the barn, put the new bales in the barn, and then put the old bales in front of them, so that next fall when I start feeding, these old bales are the first ones we get into. You guys aren't too hungry either, huh? It's not the hardest thing in the world to hook up, but certainly not the easiest. There, we got it. Looks like a load. I hope the tractor will pick that up. Well, we're starting to get into the concrete reinforcement here, T-posts, which, you know, they actually work pretty good. They are probably a little bit bigger than you would want, but when you're on a budget, which, I mean, I guess we're always on a budget, but I was really on a budget when I poured this slab, and that was about the best I could do. Chunk. Some bricks. I kind of remember when I poured this, getting down here towards the end and realizing that I was not going to have enough concrete. So I went around and gathered asphalt chunks, bricks, you name it, and put it in here. Hopefully, as we get towards the front of the slab, maybe we'll see less of that kind of stuff, but no guarantees. That's pretty good progress for today. I think we'll pick this up tomorrow. It's the next day now, or next afternoon, I should say. I got caught up this morning, but I need to get back on this. This is, yeah, this needs to get done. So the slab itself, I think, is going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 12 feet long. I'll figure out exactly what that number needs to be. And I think it is going to come, if you can see where I'm talking, the slab's going to extend into the alleyway just a little bit. So what that means is that I need to start digging this back a little bit so that I've got a nice flat lowered bed here where I can make my pour. I decided to widen this bed a little bit just so that I would have more room to set my boards down in there, put the concrete stakes and all that stuff. It's just gonna make everything from here on out a lot easier because I will have room to work. So I think that I've reached the point where I can at least put my 2 long boards down, and then we'll kind of find level, find a height. If I need to shave any more off of this or do anything else, then that'll be next. "55 inches. We got a little issue over right here. It's touching, kind of just need to take a little bit more out, basically this whole corner. Now that I know I've got enough room for my form here in the bed, I'm going to go ahead and screw the corners together down here, make sure they're on good 90s, and then I can go through with my concrete stakes and level this thing out. Just go ahead and get these started up here where it's a little easier. Well, so right now I'm making sure that the form is centered with the alleyway, because wherever the form is where the slab's going to be, is where the chute's going to be. So we want everything to be square. And we're definitely not 5 1/8 there. So this whole thing's got to like shift this way. Just pull it as far as I can. I finally got this thing centered. I can put some concrete stakes like right up against the form on this side and the other side. That'll keep it from being able to move side to side. And then I can come back here and set level, screw the stakes into the boards, and then we should be good to go. This corner is really low. We know that right off the bat. So I'll try to get kind of where we need to be there. It's pretty good there. Yeah, we need to come up a fair amount here. We're looking pretty level here. This form is a lot higher off the ground than I kind of thought it would be. The thing about too high is you can always put fill dirt around here. The bigger mistake would be having the slab too low so that mud and rocks and everything are getting in those load bars for the scale. We don't want that. I would rather have it a little bit higher and not have the risk of that happening. So put a few more stakes in and I think we'll be done with that part. Well, the form ended up sitting a lot higher off the ground than I thought, and therefore it's a much deeper, or it will be a much thicker slab than I had originally intended on. So I think what I can do, because, and this will end up being like a 6 to 8 inch thick slab if I pour it just how it is now. So probably what I'll do is take some of the chunks that I broke up from the original slab, the smaller ones, and then use those as kind of fill here in the bottom, and then we can pour the new slab on top of that. So they'll kind of like take the place of, you know, pea gravel or, you know, something else that you might pour a slab on top of. Or I might just get pea gravel, you know, we'll see. Once we get that all figured out, then I need to get the rebar set up in here, and at that point I will be ready to pour the slab. The weather's turning bad, it's starting to rain, and I think we're gonna pick this up another day. Thanks for hanging out with me today, guys, and I hope I'll see you again on Farmer Tyler Ranch.